5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that generally I build my own solar systems, including my own portable solar generators. But recently I had the need to buy a small retail unit for a family member that was going away to college. I did a lot of research and I came up with a methodology covering a lot of the requirements that I had for the unit. If I'm going to spend a couple $100s on one of these, I want to make sure that I get exactly what I'm paying for. So after doing a lot of research and looking at all the specifications online, I settled on this one. This had all the features that I wanted. It's actually a pre-production unit. It's not fully released for retail sales at this point in time. It's a BigBlue Cellpowa 500. And the reason I picked this one, I'll give you a short list of the feature set and then we'll go over them in more detail. But the features that I wanted on this and what made it the right buy for me is it's 537 watt hours capacity. So it's a decent capacity to run some small appliances, make some meals, run lights, power your laptop, cell phone. So it's got a 500, where is it? Over here. 500 watt pure sine AC output, which is nice. It's 1,000 watt peak, so if something ramps up quickly at the beginning to power on, it will handle that. USB outputs, the standard A and also C type. One of the other bigger factors in my consideration before buying this was the charge time. I want the person using this to be able to charge it up to full capacity rather easily over time, right? I don't want it to take a day or two, a full day or 2 days to charge up to full before they can get full use out of it. So this actually has several charging inputs available to it, and the charge time varies between 2 and 8 hours depending on how much you have going in and what devices you have hooked up to charge. And I'll go over that as well here in a minute. So it's got fast charging time, it's got great capacity, and it's got multitude of outputs. It can charge via the solar panels input, it can charge via an AC adapter, it can charge via the car, the lighter, and it's also got USB-C PD inputs down here, and those are USB-C PD is power delivery, and those go up to 55 to 60 watts max. So you can theoretically have 60 watts, 60 watts, and a 90 watt from an AC power adapter. So that will charge it in a little under 2.5 hours. But the use case scenario for my family member would be to stick a 100 watt solar panel out the window, plug it in here, and it should charge within 6 to 8 hours. So that's a big factor. It does have a built-in BMS, so that will protect it from overcharge, over discharge. So basically you plug it in, it'll charge up and it'll automatically shut itself off and not overcharge to damage the battery. And it'll also protect itself from over discharge, whether that be the voltage going too low, you use it too long, and the voltage drops and it damages your battery. And it'll also protect it from over discharge current-wise. So if you pull more than 500 watts from the AC, or you extend the DC outputs, it will auto protect and shut itself off so it doesn't damage the battery or internal components. It also has a life PO4 battery, which gives me greater than 1,500 cycles. That means I can charge it up and cycle it down, charge it up and cycle it down over 1,500 times. So this should last, under moderate usage, it should last me a good 7 to 10 years. Now, what it came with out of the box is first, let me give you this one first. This is the one most people are going to be using during good times. That's an AC charger. This is a 90 watt charger, approximately 90 watts. That will charge it up rather quickly. I think it's 7 to 8 hours. And it's got a lighter DC input that you can charge it with, and that's approximately the same time. And it also comes with this lighter output, which is kind of handy. You can power DC devices off of this, say an inverter or something like that. You can also charge a car battery if it goes dead or that type of thing. Not good for starting the car, but it will charge up the battery that you normally use in your car to start your battery. So it does have a multitude of uses. It's got great input and output, great battery chemistry, the perfect capacity. It just fit and the price. The price was right as well. Now there was a small problem that I'll get into a little bit later, but first let's check out the details on the display, and we'll go over some of the features in a little more detail. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the form factor, the inputs and outputs, and more details of the BigBlue Cellpowa 500. The form factor is very nice. Fit and finish is really nice. I'm very impressed with the case. It's quality and it looks very nice. It's got a telescoping handle on top. You can pull up, push in. The fans flow from one side to the other, and on the back side there is a light, which is very nice. Yes, I am using a number 2 pencil. This YouTube channel is about substance over style, I guess you could say. On the front we have the 2 AC outputs. They are a 500 watt max pure sine, which is very nice. The only weird thing is they have one ground that is shared between the 2 outlets. So you can have one 3-prong in and one 2-prong device plugged in at any given time. If you have 2 3-prong outlets, you're out of luck. It's a kind of a weird setup, but that's the way it is. So all of these different solar generators have their quirks, pros and cons, so that's something that you just have to live with if you decide to buy this one. So the DC outputs, we have 1 lighter output, and then we have 2 output jacks. Now the output on these is 12 volt, 10 amp max between the 3 outputs. So it's basically 120 watts that you can get out of this to power some DC devices. This is your main input right here. This is how you charge the unit via the AC adapter. It plugs in also with a jack. This is a 5.5 by 2.5 millimeter center positive. The AC adapter plugs into here. The lighter adapter to charge this plugs into your lighter in your car, and then the other end plugs into here. And your solar panel, it doesn't come with one, but you need to figure that out for yourself basically and get an adapter. Because most solar panels come with MC4 connectors, so you have to get a little pigtail to go from that to this 5.5 by 2.5 millimeter center positive plug. You have 2 USB-A style outputs only. These are quick charge, they're rated at 3 amps a piece. And then you have 2 in and out. These are USB-Cs. You can charge them via a PD charger, and a PD charger, for those of you who don't know, is a charger that outputs 55 to 60 watts via a USB-C cable. And this is nice because you can charge simultaneously these 3 inputs. The USB-C are also outputs, so you can use these to charge your phones or any other USB-C devices. This is 2-way. Charges and it discharges, so that's a very nice feature. Now the charging capability, the feature is very nice because you can use any of these 3 inputs to charge, either alone or in any combination. The AC input, when you use the AC charger or the solar charger, goes into this jack, and then and that can be up to 90 watts. And then you have 2 max 60 watts. So theoretically, you can get 210 watts, which will charge this up in between 2 and 2.5 hours. To charge this, you do not need to power it on. You simply plug in any of these 3 ports with a power going in, and it'll automatically turn the screen on. If you're just wanting to use the power outputs, you have to hold the power button for approximately 2 seconds. It will power the screen on. You have your percentage indicator of the battery, and when this charges, it'll rotate clockwise, so you'll know that it's charging. Up here, we have our input watts, so when you're charging, it'll give you a display of how many watts are being input into the battery to charge it. The second line is the output wattage. When you run a device off of here, it'll tell you how many watts it's pulling or how many watts the battery is pushing out to the devices. As I mentioned, you want to keep that in line with your 500 watts AC and your DC as well. Make sure you're not going out of tolerance, because it will error out, and there'll be a little triangle down here that will let you know, oops, you did something bad, I'm going to shut down. So, and then here, this is the charge and discharge time estimator, I guess you could call it. So right now it's 99 hours to empty, because I'm not drawing anything off it right now. If I was to plug something in, and I'll show you that in a little bit, if I was to plug something in, then you'll see the output watts will go up to whatever the device is pulling, and this will automatically adjust and do the math for you and let you know if you're going to keep using that, how much time you have until the battery is fully depleted. Conversely, if you're charging it, if you have one of these three or all three or any combination of these three, charging the unit, you'll get your input watts, and this will tell you, it's not showing here right now, but I'll show you it later. Above this 2 empty, there is a indicator that says 2 full. So if you're putting power in, it'll automatically switch. This 2 empty will go away. It'll display 2 full, and it'll also do the math and tell you how long it will take you to charge to 100%. Now, to utilize the AC outputs, you have to turn the power on, which we've already done, and then you have to hold this down for another 2 seconds. You'll see you will get AC indicator. Once that's on, you're ready to rock and roll with that. You can use that. When you plug a DC device in, it will go to DC. Now, to utilize the DC, I just had it plugged in, that's why the USB is actually lit up. So you have to have the power on, and you plug it in. You see the output wattage is 3 watts. And the phone is charging. So you can do that with either of the USB outputs. And if you'd like to utilize the other DC outputs up here, it's the same as the AC. You press this button for 2 seconds, it'll come on, and then you're able to utilize those. So the other feature that I mentioned earlier, there's the fan output, the fan input, and for the light, you just have to have it on, and you press the button. Ooh, hope I didn't blind it. Sorry about that if it blew out my sensor. And then to turn it off, when we're done, you press and hold the power button once again. Okay, so now that you've seen all the features up close, let's get techie and see what this thing can do. So I wanted to show you real quick. When I first received the BigBlue Cellpowa 500, I was very excited. I went, and the first thing I wanted to do is turn it on and find out the state of charge. And when I turned it on, it was at 1% state of charge. I've never received a battery or battery pack that was less than 30 to 40% state of charge. Being at 1% tells me there's either a power leak internally somewhere, or this was sitting on a shelf for a long time in a warehouse somewhere, and the battery just depleted over time. Either way, not a good indicator when you first get a new product that it's not what you expect. It's not up to snuff. So I said, okay, maybe it's been sitting around for a while, no problem. It's got a BMS built in, so protect the battery. If it's showing 1%, that's actually okay for the health of the battery, but it's just a little disappointing. So I wanted to charge it up, so the first thing I did was I break out the big charger. This is supposed to be approximately 90 watts. So I go to plug it in, and I get the indicator showing that it's charging. The upper display is actually the input watts, and that oscillates between 0 and 1 input watts from a 90 watt charger. Additionally, the time to full, the little text here is too full at the top and too empty at the bottom. It stayed at 99 and it oscillates between too full and too empty. So it can't quite make up its mind what it's doing, if it's charging or discharging. That tells me that there's something wrong with the charging circuitry. It's not good. So I said, well, okay, there's other options. This is one charging option. This is another charging input. It's power delivery, or a PD cable. And this is another PD cable. You can put a maximum of 60 watts into each of these and 90 watts into here. So that gives you, theoretically, over 200 watts to charge this unit up. You can do that in any combination. You can have any combination of these three charging the unit at any given time. So if this wasn't going to work for me and there's a malfunction in the charging circuitry of this jack, which coincidentally is how I would charge it up, and most people would charge it up if their power went out and you had a solar panel. The solar panel feeds into this jack. So that is not a good indicator that this is going to work for me if the power goes out and I have to use solar to charge it up. Because these PDs plug into the wall. So the first one I had was my phone. I have a phone PD charger. It goes 18 to 19 watts. So I plugged that in, hoping for the best. And I get 19 watts input. 2.8 hours, 3.1. It's actually calculating now, going through the algorithm, doing the math, and it says 3 hours to full. Because it's at 83%, it's charging at 19 watts. So that's good. Kind of gave me a little hope. Then I had purchased another PD charger on Amazon, and it is 55 to 60 watts. So I figured, well, let me try to see if I can multi-charge this with the two different ports. Plugged it in. This is supposed to give me 55 to 60, and sure enough, it does. I'm getting good output from both of those PDs and good input to the charging jacks here. So that's working, and that's how I actually charge it. It's at 83% now. It was at 1% when I got it, and I plugged these into the wall inside and I charged it up. So that gave me a little bit of hope. But as you see, when I plug this in, it's a 76 now. I plug the AC back in, and you should be able to utilize all three of these at the same time. It gives me one additional input watt. So there's definitely something wrong here. I did register this on BigBlue's website for the warranty, and to their credit, I sent them an email to their customer support. They answered me within 12 hours, and they explained that this is still not fully released for retail. It's still under development, and they apologize for their lack of QC. I kind of let them have it. How could you let this go to a customer without properly QCing it? It's as simple as literally plugging this in. You see 1 watt, don't sell it to a customer. But as I said, in all fairness, they were very quick to respond. They apologized, and they sent me a new unit. It arrived within 5 days. This unit is actually rated at 537 watt hours, and the AC outlets are rated at 500 watts, continuous 1000 watts peak. So let me power up the AC circuit. Let's plug it in. Should be good to go. Let's see what this thing pulls. Woo, that's up there. So that's taking a steady 460-ish watts. Now this is a 300 watt electric heater. I'm going to plug this in and give this a shot too. It should protect itself, or if they're 500 each, then it'll power that as well. Let's check it out and see what it does. And here goes nothing. Well, it looks like we're getting an indicator, fault indicator, but it's steady pulling. 700 or so watts. Very impressive. I'm going to let this go for a minute and see, because I don't believe it. There it goes. Okay. All right, so we've determined. I'm actually fairly impressed. That held on for quite a while over the 500 watts that it's rated at. So it's actually pretty impressive. At least we know we can't go over 500 watts for any substantial length of time, but it does appear that it will allow over wattage for a short period for peak or something ramping up like the heater. So that's a good indicator. I'm impressed. So it's been a few days. It's been a while actually. I haven't gotten around to making the second part of this video. But as you saw in the bench test, the first unit that I had failed miserably. The charging circuit was bad. The QC was bad on BigBlue's part. They were responsive. They got back to me within 12 hours with an email saying that they'd make it right. And then within 5 business days I had this. It actually took about 7 because there was a weekend packed in there. But pretty short response time. They sent me a new one. And trust me, I showed you the bad one. I'm going to tell you, you got to trust me, this one works fine. Capacity's great. All the inputs and outputs work. All the buttons work. Everything works fine. I've been using it on and off. So not a problem. So what did we learn from this video? 2 things. One, this is actually a pretty good unit. The replacement works fine. I'm very impressed with its capabilities. I like the form factor. Everything's fine with it. We'll see how it lasts long term, but like I said, I'm very impressed with it. The second thing we learned was when you buy equipment, especially if you're going to use it for emergency use, test it thoroughly when you get it. I knew there's something wrong with this right when I got it. I always test everything that I get right away. I knew it was bad, and I was able to contact the manufacturer and get a new unit sent to me. You'd be surprised, a lot of people would take this, set it up on a shelf, waiting for next hurricane season, and then if they know a hurricane's coming, they'll plug it in a week ahead of time when they first find out, saying, oh, maybe I need to use it. And then they would have found out that it's bad, and it might have been out of the return period or out of warranty. So anytime you buy a new piece of equipment, test it, and then hopefully get some use out of it. Hopefully regularly use it if you're going to buy it. That being said, that's the end of this video. If you found some information useful or you enjoyed it, then please like it and subscribe to my channel so you'll know when I test new things or I build new things or I do new things. Hopefully they'll interest you. And most importantly, if there's somebody you know that can benefit from this information, a friend, family member, etc., please let them know. Share my video with them, and hopefully we can help as many people as possible out there. So that's all I've got for this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. I have some cool stuff to show you.